And in the trailer, I was like, oh, I quite like that bit. I don't usually feel like that about my performances. I was like, I quite like that bit. And then when I see it in the movie, they used a different angle and you don't even see me laugh. I was like, oh, come on! How you doing? I'm James McAvoy, and this is how I became Patrick Feld, or Paddy, for Speak No Evil. A couple of things that people have told me make Paddy, so successful as a character to watch is that he's constantly fluctuating between charming and sinister. Some people have asked me whether that's like two different characters. I feel like I'm playing two different people. I would say no. I would say that they are just two sides of the one coin, and that his sinister is all the more sinister because of his charm. And his charm is all the more charming because of his sinister. He's the same animal. He's like a smiling predator, you know? And to find that, look, you play his objective, you play what he wants, you play his need, you play his killer instinct, you play the thief and the taker and the marauder in him, but you remember that he really enjoys his job. He really enjoys what he does with his day. And when you're playing somebody who is having a good time, it's easy to make them charming, even when they're doing something so despicable. For Paddy, I think being a man, his interpretation of being a man or masculinity is about taking what he wants. It's about not obsession, not self-possession, but selfishness. I think he's been somebody who's been hurt by masculinity, by his father. Not that that's an excuse for his behaviour, but it is a reason. And he's now perpetrating that upon the rest of the world, and he's going to take and take and take. And if he dominates, or if he hurts, or if he abuses to take what he wants, it doesn't matter, he's going to take what he wants. And he's going to have a good time doing it.
Remember that time you guys came to stay? You flipped out and tried to leave without saying goodbye?
I was working with 3 incredible adult actors as well as 2 incredible child actors. Working with Scoot McNairy, Mackenzie Davis and Aisling Franciosi, who played Kira, who's Paddy's wife. Really, the film, as much as I've got quite a showy role, this film survives on the ensemble. And so it was really important that we felt that we were in the same film and we're all pulling together to tell the same story and create this tension, because the whole film survives. It's really scary, it's really funny, but the whole film survives on this really taut, almost bow that is being pulled throughout the whole film until almost breaking point. And if one of us went off in a different direction, or one of us peaked or troughed, for that matter, at the wrong time, it would dissipate that tension. So it was a constant calibration, and that was down to our director as well, kind of making sure we were finely tuning as we went. But I've got to say, working with these 3 other actors, the scene started to take on its own life and inform you what it wanted you to do, and that's a joy, because then you feel like the film's playing you, you ain't playing the film, you know. Paddy and Kira's relationship was really important for many reasons. One of them being that the film, or Paddy and Kira, seem to be constantly lying or pretending or portraying a version of themselves that may or may not be true, and you never quite know as the audience. But the one thing that Aisling and I, who plays Kira, hit upon really, really early is that their love, as much as it might be born of abuse and grooming and some crazy stuff, some bad stuff, it was profound, and it was real, and it was true, and we were really keen to play that. You can make your own judgment watching the film whether you believe it or not, but we played it completely truthfully and completely honestly. And because really the conflict in the story survives on many levels, but one of the levels that it survives on is that you've got these good people, these good citizens, these wholesome people who have the kind of relationship you'd never want to have, and which is all too recognisable in modern society. And then you've got these bad people, and they have the kind of love that you can only dream about and that you dearly wish you could have with your partner. And so you put these 2 people together, good guys, bad love, amazing love. And it's the conflict that creates is palpable.
We didn't bring our swimsuits. Oh, that's all right. You can keep your knickers on.
You shouldn't be shy, Louise. Got a great body.
Oh, thank you.
James is a veteran of making thriller-y type, scary, social horror movies. And I had seen Eden Lake and thought it was fantastic, a sort of long time ago. I wouldn't say he gave me advice, but he gave me time, he gave me his attention, and we both together, I came in with probably 80% of my performance figured out, and then together, and with the rest of the cast, we figured out the next 20%. That really helped take it to another level. And he was very welcoming and very open to my interpretation of the role and maybe the areas of the character that I wanted to take further and explore further. And as a writer-director, you'd think maybe he would be more precious about his words and about his material, but actually my experience is writer-directors are probably more confident in going like, throw that line away, we don't need it, or yep, I like your line better, whatever you just came up with, or this whole avenue you want to explore with the character, let's do it. He's really generous. And at the whole time, very tightly coordinating and calibrating what has to be a really tight story, because if it ain't tight, then you just lose all that tension and all that potential for something scary to happen. There was definitely a level of improvisation that was welcomed within the shoot, but it wasn't a mass. We didn't need to do that much because the script was already really good. Sometimes there was lines that would disappear because you just didn't need to say it. And if you can say it without saying it on film, that's quite often a really good thing. But if there was a great moment that could be had through improvisation or just through an idea that you had before the take, James was 100% up for it. But again, him keeping it tight, not letting the wheels come off, because that train had to move in one direction. He would be welcoming things, but also very good at kind of going, think this is going to take us off course, this will take us off course, thank you but no thank you. And that's what you want from somebody. You want somebody who's in charge of the material.
And what is wrong with you?
So the scene in which the two children perform a dance routine to the cult classic Cotton Eye Joe was quite a long scene to shoot. I think we shot it over the course of a couple of days and in kind of different sections. It's quite a fun scene to begin with, and you've got the kind of the faux pas of Kira parenting someone else's child and admonishing someone else's child for bad behaviour or you know, uncouth or impolite behaviour, and Louise very clearly not having that. And then I think Paddy at that time in that scene, I don't know why he goes so mental at Ant, but, well, I do know why. He's channeling his father, really, not on purpose, but he's channeling his own father and the kind of treatment that he got from his own father. And he can't help but react the way that his father treated him when Ant makes the massive transgression of dancing out of time. And I don't know, I've been party to things like that where parents overreact or massively overblow a small thing with their children. And it's a very true thing, I think, with parents, is that when your child fails, you take it personally. Not of all parents, but it's something that a lot of good parents as well can fall prey to, is that when your child fails at something, you take it personally as if like you're failing as a parent because you didn't manage to produce a child or teach your child how to do the thing better. When you've got somebody as abusive as Paddy, that failure that he feels is then going to turn into aggression, and that's what ultimately ends up happening. I'm not sure if he's constantly performing, but he is constantly playing this game. And as such, I think that what he's playing this game with aren't just made up random beliefs or opinions. I think he is genuinely, he's using his own beliefs and opinions to play the game well. And they have that added oomph or impact because they are truly what he believes. So I do think he's imparting his worldview. He's not just presenting a version of himself. I think he is actually imparting his worldview.
How long's it been?
17 years.
17 years. Wow.
You get less for murder.
There's a bit in the trailer that I laugh at, where my character laughs when Kira, played by Aisling, playing my wife, says 17 years together, you get longer for murder, and my character laughs at it. And in the trailer I was like, oh, I quite like that bit. I don't usually feel like that about my performances. I was like, I quite like that bit. And then when I see it in the movie, they used a different angle and you don't even see me laugh. I was like, oh, come on! And then there was a scene where, in the same scene actually, there's at the end of it, the song by is it Alana Miles, Black Velvet, comes on. and my character is compelled to get up and dance, and him and his wife Kira get up and dance, and we had to do what was written in the script as a sexy dance. That was one of the most mortifying things I think I've ever had to do in my career, and we were both super nervous about it. All the weird, wild stuff that we have to do in this film, and Aisling and I were like tied up in knots of anxiety about having to appear to be sexy whilst dancing. If it said like a goofy dance, would have been fine, but sexy dance. So then we did it like 10 times and it went on way too long, and the whole thing got cut from the movie anyway, so why did we have to go through that? Thank you, James Watkins.